Welcome back. In the last episode of Disturbing Fives, I asked you guys to help me pick my next video. I created a poll over on the Horror Amino app and asked you guys to vote on it. On the poll, there was 5 different video possibilities, and this was the most voted entry. Don't forget to download the Horror Amino app yourselves and follow me over there, because I will be doing polls like this in the future. Also, I'd recommend it anyways because it's an awesome social network for horror fans and is packed with horror-related chat boxes, forums, contests, and loads of other stuff. I'll be posting over there consistently enough to keep you guys up to date with what I'm doing with the channel, but also to share my opinions on scary movies, creepypastas, you name it. So hopefully I'll be seeing you guys over there, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Normally, when somebody murders someone else, there are some serious consequences to pay. Every now and then, however, certain criminals can slip through the cracks, whether it's through not being caught, escaping, or receiving a small amount of time for the crime they committed and being allowed to rejoin society. For that reason, I've decided to compile a list of just that. So sit back, relax, grab a donut, and join me for 10 terrifying murderers who are free from prison. Number 1 is the Long Island serial killer. Also known as the Craigslist Ripper, the Long Island serial killer is a criminal who is said to have killed 10 to 17 different people, all of which were associated with prostitution. It's possible that the killing spree began sometime in 1996, but there wasn't any major developments in the case until over a decade later, when 4 bodies were found in December of 2010 and 6 more bodies were found in March and April of 2011. The police believe these crimes were committed by a single person, which is surreal as it would have been very difficult to go undetected whilst also committing such extreme crimes. For this reason, they believe that the person who did commit these crimes may have had knowledge of police techniques or had actual ties to law enforcement. Fingers were pointed at serial killer Joel Rifkin, who was also a Long Island resident. He was brought into questioning under the suspicion that he may have committed some of the earlier killings. However, he denied having any involvement in the incident. To this day, it remains a mystery, and there is a good chance that the Long Island serial killer is still out there. Number 2 is Karla Homolka. Karla Homolka and her partner Paul Bernardo were engaged to be married. However, Bernardo expressed a romantic interest in Homolka's sister, Tammy. He took this interest to a disturbing level when he suggested to his fiancée that they drug and rape her sister. Somehow, she agreed to this, and on the 23rd of December 1990, they did just that. Because of the drugs that were given to Tammy, she choked on her own vomit and died. This is pretty messed up. It was originally ruled as an accident, and Homolka and Bernardo went on to commit 2 more similar crimes, one in 1992 and one in 1993. They were eventually arrested in 1993 and convicted of the 3 murders they had committed. Karla Homolka managed to get a controversial plea deal because she had claimed to have been abused by her partner and stated that he had pushed her into committing the crimes. However, videotapes of the crimes they had committed were later released, and it turned out that she had been much more involved in these crimes than she claimed. Because of this, the plea bargain she took became known as the Deal with the Devil, and also meant that she only served 12 years in prison for the crime she had committed. She was let out in 2005 with a number of restrictions and conditions, and is still free to this day. Number 3 is the Edgecombe County serial killer. Also known as the Seven Bridges Killer, the Edgecombe County serial killer is a criminal who is yet to be identified. 8 bodies have been found since 2005 in Edgecombe County, all of which were most likely murdered. Because of the similarities with each body found, it's been stated by local police that they are almost definitely dealing with a single serial killer. All of the victims were black females who had a history of drugs or prostitution, leading authorities to believe that this was a racial and gender-based attack. Antoine Pittman was convicted in 2011 for one of these killings. While he is a suspect in the other 7 murders, he has not been charged with them, meaning there is a good chance that the person who did commit these crimes is still free. It still remains a mystery as to how there hasn't been a definite answer for who killed these women, as at times the victims were found in places that seemed sloppy, like Jackie Thorpe, who was found in a pile of trash. Alas, the case is still ongoing and remains a mystery. Number 4 is Nikita Bergenstrom. Nikita Bergenstrom is a Finnish criminal who killed a family of 3 in July of 1988. The event occurred after Bergenstrom was released from prison. Him and his girlfriend explored around various parts of Finland and Sweden. One night, he stole a bike from a family and a chase occurred. It ended at a cemetery where Bergenstrom shot and killed Sten Nielsen and his son Frederick. When Sten's wife came looking for him and her son, Bergenstrom slit her throat. He was sent to prison that same year. His girlfriend at the time was also sent to prison. However, she only served a year. He attempted to escape in 1991 but was unsuccessful in doing so. He eventually was released in 2008 on parole after serving 19 years in prison. It was a controversial decision to release him, as he had committed enough crimes to put him in prison for the rest of his life. Regardless, he is currently free and most likely still living in Finland. Number 5 is Issei Sagawa. Issei Sagawa is a Japanese man who, in 1981, killed and ate a Dutch woman. Now, this is definitely the type of crime that could put you in prison for the rest of your life, but that wasn't the case for Sagawa. As it turns out, his father was a very wealthy man who was able to hire a very good defense team. Sagawa was found legally insane and unfit to stand trial. He was placed in a mental institution before he was moved to Japan. This is where he found his freedom through a hole in the system. Psychologists in Japan deemed him sane, however he couldn't be sent back to prison because all of the charges had been dropped. He also couldn't be in a mental institution because he wasn't considered mentally unwell. This led to his freedom occurring in 1986, only 5 years after he had literally ate someone. Come on! This controversial release and the disturbing crime that he committed made Sagawa a minor celebrity in Japan. He did a documentary with Vice that received just under 10 million views and is now a public speaker who talks about the incident on a consistent basis. The idea that he's free has caused outrage and has been debated and criticized for years. Number 6 is Arnfinn Nesset. Arnfinn Nesset was a Norwegian nurse who in 1983 was convicted for poisoning and killing 22 patients. While that seems like a lot, it turns out that he may have killed up to 138 people. In fact, he originally confessed to killing 27 patients, but retracted these confessions before a 5-month-long trial began. Because of these crimes, Nesset was sentenced to 22 years in prison, but only served 12 of these as he was let out early for good behavior. The fact that he received his freedom early for good behavior has been widely criticized, as the crimes he committed could have easily justified life in prison. He was described as an ambitious man who wanted complete control over life and death of his victims. So with that description in mind, it's pretty scary to think that he's currently a free man. Not much is known about his current whereabouts, but it is assumed that he's living under a different name. Number 7 is the Daytona Beach Killer. The Daytona Beach Killer is a serial killer who murdered 4 women in the Daytona Beach area. The crimes were committed throughout the course of 2 years, beginning in December of 2005 and ending in December of 2007. The reason it's believed that one person committed these crimes is because of the similarities between the victims that were found. All of them had been shot, and 3 of them were shot specifically in the head. They also all worked in the Daytona Beach area, and the killer had made no effort to conceal the bodies, hinting towards the idea that the person who committed these crimes wanted the police to find the victims. It was a mysterious case because although the police were able to identify the victims and the weapon that was used in all 4 attacks, they haven't been able to even get a proper suspect yet. There is a possibility that the same killer was responsible for 3 more murders. However, this can't be confirmed. It's likely that the Daytona Beach Killer has left the area and possibly even left the United States, as no major developments have been made in the case for several years. Number 8 is Mary Bell. Mary Bell is the youngest person on this list to commit a murder. In May of 1968, when she was only 11 years of age, she strangled a 4-year-old boy to death. It somehow takes a more disturbing route, as she committed this crime once more in July of the same year. This time she brought a friend along and the pair strangled and killed a 3-year-old boy. Bell later carved the letter M into the boy's stomach. She was eventually convicted for both crimes on the 17th of December 1968 and remained in prison for 12 years. She was released in 1980 when she was 23 years of age. She received a lot of media attention because of the age she was when she committed these disturbing crimes, but also because of the way the case was dealt with. Of course, it was handled in a much different way than traditional systems because of how young Bell was at the time. However, the way her case was handled was relatively controversial, the main instance being the fact that she was able to rejoin society at only 23 years of age. She was given a completely new identity when she was released, so not much is really known about Mary Bell's current situation, apart from the fact that she is now a grandmother. Number 9 is Pedro Lopez. Pedro Lopez is a Colombian serial killer who claims to have killed more than 300 young girls. In 1980, he led the police to 53 graves in Ecuador, graves that he had made himself for the victims he killed, all of which were young girls aged 9 to 12. He eventually was found guilty of killing 110 girls in 1983, although he confessed to murdering another 240. He was sent to a psychiatric hospital where he was initially deemed insane. Somehow, in an incredibly bizarre turn of events, the dude was let go for good behavior in 1998 on a $50 bail, meaning a man who claims to have killed over 350 girls was allowed to rejoin society after only 15 years of imprisonment. Holy shit! Well, it's not that surprising that he would become a repeat offender, with another murder occurring in 2002. However, his whereabouts are still unknown, and seeing as he took a lot of pride in the crimes he committed, it would not be that surprising if he has killed since or if he intends to kill in the future. He is considered by the Guinness World Book of Records to be the most prolific serial killer of all time. And number 10, the Ciudad Juárez serial killer. The homicides in Ciudad Juárez is a phenomenon that hasn't been explained and remains a mystery. There's been over 370 women who have died in the area since 1993. It's said that a specific group of women have been targeted for these attacks, as many of them have been young black women who work in factories or are students. A small percentage of the women were also involved in drug trafficking. While there have been a number of suspects and a small number of convictions, there is no definitive answer as to who the main person behind these crimes is, and it remains a mystery. Even the handful of convictions that have been made have been criticized. One thing that is almost certain is that while there are definitely individual killers out there, there is one primary person to look for. However, who that person is a question that has not been answered. Thanks a million for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, thanks to everybody who voted on the poll over at Horror Amino. It was a very effective system for seeing what you guys wanted, so I'm definitely going to do it again in the future. Make sure you download the app and go follow me over there. But hey, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed your donut, and as always, until next time, haha!